Selling your home is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make. And choosing the right listing agent is one of the best financial decisions you'll make as well. My name is Quann, and today we're going to be going over a guide on choosing the right listing agent and the questions you should be asking before you sign any paperwork with this listing agent. Let's get started. All right, so first things first, we should really talk about local knowledge and their experiences here in the local market. A very easy question to ask right off the bat is, how long have you been working in this market? As an agent, we need to know the local market. We need to know the neighborhood trends, how buyers behave in this area, pricing, the whole 9 yards. Everything comes down to the local market. That's why houses could be 100 grand in say like Alabama or down somewhere in the South, and 800 grand here in DC. You need to hire an agent that knows the local market. One thing you can always ask too is, have you sold any houses that are like mine? The thing about our area is we have a very wide array of houses. We have everything from single wides to multi-million-dollar homes. Don't get caught up on if they sell either single wides or multi-million-dollar homes, but see if they've done anything that's like your house and how did that experience go. You should be able to find it on Zillow. It's pretty easy to see how long it was on the market and then talk to them to kind of verify some things. Another thing we should talk about is the marketing strategy they're going to be using. Very easy. What marketing strategy is that agent going to use on your house? One thing that always bugs me as a real estate agent is sometimes I get people that want to look at things that are outside my MLS. And that's not an issue. I can sell anything in the state of Virginia. But we have these things called multiple listing services or MLSs, and they are very territorial. So I'm a part of Bright MLS, which essentially covers from here into DC, Northern Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware. And it's one of the biggest in the United States, if not the biggest. But just south, we have this one called Richmond. Totally different MLS. I don't have the data to pull from there. So I have a buyer that calls me and they want to go look at a property, but I can't find them in my MLS. And then I start searching for it. And of course, I can find it on Zillow like everybody else. But then I'm trying to dig deeper and find the actual listing agent. And one thing that bugs me is I can't find anything on this listing agent. They literally have no profiles. I don't even know if they are the agent. I can't find their cell phone number. And it's wild in this day and age, someone who's in business that doesn't have all the resources that they could be using. So not only what marketing strategies, I want to test to make sure that that agent is be able to be seen, because an agent that's seen and has all the profile built out will be able to attract more buyers because they had more people coming to look at their stuff. Are you just going to list my house in MLS? Or are we going to use social media? Are we going to use YouTube? Are we going to do video? Are we going to do drone, 3D tour, floor plans? How's their social media built out? Are they going to use professional photos? One thing that bugs me is people pay thousands of dollars to some of these agents and they use cell phone photos. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with cell phone photos, but if I'm trying to get a mass amount of people in the door, I want to have it presented as best as I can online. So either you can do your own research or you can just ask them, show me your portfolio of what you look like online and how do you show houses. So now that we have that out of the way, we should talk about one of the most heated topics, and that's commission. Now, one thing you need to know is all commission is negotiable. It just is. You never have to lock in with anyone just because they say, it is what it is, this is how much I charge. So we're not going to really talk about just commission in this, like the actual number, but just know it's always negotiable. And so some agents might, this is my bare minimum I'm allowed to take or I'm willing to take to do the job. Some jobs require more work than other. So you want to talk to that realtor and you want to feel comfortable and understand everything. If we get a certain buyer, is there a reduction in commission? Or is there more commission? But just know you are in the driver's seat before you list that house. Don't ever just get locked into someone because that is what it is. Commission is always negotiable, and there was a big lawsuit last year that says so. Just a seller net sheet to kind of show all the fees that they're estimating. That way you know what you're potentially going to make in the long run. Now it is an estimate. I never want to say that that is exactly the number that my client's going to get at closing, but for the most part, I'm pretty close. And I suggest you have all your realtors before you hire them to do the same. Another huge pet peeve of mine is communication. You definitely want to ask them, how is their communication skills? How can I get a hold of you? When are your hours that you work? You'll either hear that they work all the time, or I was never even able to get a hold of my agent. And that's like just complete opposite of the two. And so that is one thing. You want to set that expectation. You want to make sure you're in the loop of everything that's going on. For my clients, I'm here for pretty much anything. I was at a listing appointment last night at 9 p.m. I've worked Sunday, but I also have some time off with the family too throughout the week as well. The big thing is I never want people to think that I'm not communicating well with them. So my phone is always on for my clients. I'm not going to say I'll pick up every phone call, but I'm going to call them back as quick as I can. So one thing you definitely do is just make sure that that agent's going to communicate and then hold them accountable to that. If you're not getting the communication you deserve, you should bring it up and have that discussion with them. All right, so preparation and pricing strategy. The big question is, how do they price your home? Are they looking on Zillow at the Zestimate, or are they doing a proper CMA to break down and explain to you why your house is worth what it is? People get caught up all the time on my house is worth this, but if I don't have the data to show that the house is worth it, then more than likely the bank's definitely not going to give us a loan when the next buyer buys the house. So showing the CMA and showing how they came up with that price, even if you might not agree with it, it will all help you understand on what we're looking for in the real estate. Remember, everything's got to jive together. So if a bank's loaning on the property, it has to appraise. You're going to have comparable sales that support that. That's why when people freak out when you have like a bad sale in a neighborhood, because it truly can bring down the value of the property. In fact, I just listed a house not that long ago and we got it under contract, but I was about 20K under where I thought that house really should be worth. And the reason was the next door neighbor was the biggest house in the neighborhood, model home, had all the bells and whistles. And they literally listed the house 70 grand under what that value should have been. So I got screwed up on the back end with the appraisal because unfortunately everything's driven off of that. And we just couldn't compete with the comps that we had in the neighborhood. So fire sales are never good, but pricing strategy is something that you should pay attention to, and also setting out those timelines on here's what we're going to do. So one thing I like to do with all my clients is when we sit down, it's like, all right, we're going to get photos here. You got to have the house cleaned here. We can do staging at this point. We go live on coming soon here. We get all the professional photos edited here. And then we go hit the ground running. We're going live, say this Thursday. We're going to have an open house Saturday and then the following Sunday. So that's kind of how I like to lay it out. I want to lay everything out. That way everybody knows the deadlines that we're going to be hitting. And that leads me to my last thing. If we've done everything right, handling offers and negotiating. Now remember, you're hiring these folks to work on your behalf. They need to work on your behalf. So can you describe the way you like to handle contracts? Or if you're lucky enough and you have multiple offers, how do you handle that? Sometimes it could be we accept offers as they come, and when my client likes it, we take the offer. If we're lucky enough to get multiple offers and we want to do a multiple bid situation, we might set a deadline. Every situation is a little bit different, but how is that agent going to negotiate on your behalf? And are they strong on negotiating, or are they just going to roll over because you only had one showing and they happen to write? And this is like a beg of getting this contract. Don't want that unless your client has told you exactly that to do. And then ultimately the client's always in the driver's seat. And that's something I always like to tell my folks. Technically, you are the boss. I work for you. I do whatever you tell me to do. I'm going to advise you the whole way, and I'll give you every bit of experience that I have the last 12 years in real estate, whether it be my vendor list, my negotiation skills, my social media, my marketing, and I'll put that all to your disposal. But ultimately, you are the boss and you are in the driver's seat. A couple red flags to check out. People who cut commission extremely quick, they're going to cut your sales price extremely quick to get a deal done. That's just a simple fact. Just because they're willing to give away all their money, what do you think they're going to do to your money? Now, ultimately, you still have to accept the offer, but just be careful of that. Don't put everything down to commission. Agents, they're just kind of vague. You want a clear set on what we're going to be doing. The schedule, like I kind of laid it out. Don't be vague about anything. They want to be able to know the market. If they're vague about that, they haven't done their research. Promising unrealistic expectations. Now, if they say, oh yeah, we're going to get 25 offers and there's 5 houses all around you that have been sitting on the market for 14 or 25 days, whatever, they probably, again, haven't done that research and they are living on the last time they sold a house, which could have been a year ago. Now, we always want to make sure if they're listing your house that they've sold houses before. But one thing to watch out for is high listing turnover, meaning that they've gotten a pile of listings, so they have all these numbers and they look really busy, but they never close any house. That's something that you can just check on the back end too. Some websites like Realtor and Zillow have the listing inventory. You never just want to be in numbers to these people. We got a new listing, we throw out a sign, we throw it in MLS, see what happens, right? You want to have that like white glove experience. Again, selling your house is one of the most important financial decisions you'll make. I really think in 30 years from now or 20 years from now, you're going to see a clear separation of people who had houses before this huge run and people that didn't. And people who are selling houses right now are usually sitting on a pile of equity that can really set them ahead in life. But you definitely want to hire an agent on the backside that's going to do the job properly and to make sure that they get the deal done. These questions will help you hire the next agent to make sure you can get the best deal possible. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I would love to be your listing agent, but if you're in a different state, I completely understand. Let me know if you guys need anything. See you on the next one.